Our job is to take on the oligarchs and to create an economy that works for all of us, not just the 1%. And as bad as all of that is, if you can believe it, what Republicans and Trump are proposing right now is a reconciliation bill, Trump's big, beautiful bill. This bill would give $650 billion in tax breaks to the 1%, $400 billion to large corporations in tax breaks. And to pay for it, they're going to make massive cuts in Medicaid, nutrition, and education. You know, I don't know how people could sleep at night by voting for a bill which gives $200 billion in tax breaks to the top 0.2%. And then takes food, literally, out of the mouths of hungry kids. This is immoral and this is disgraceful. So, brothers and sisters, we have got to do everything we can to fight Trump's agenda. But we have got to do something else. We need to go on the offense and offer an alternative vision for this country as to where we want America to go. And at the top of that agenda at this moment is to say no to the Netanyahu-Trump war in Iran. Let me just tell you a story, if I might. Back in the mid-1960s, I was a young man. Yes, I was young at one point. And at that point, the American government, then under Democratic leadership, lied to the American people and took us into a terrible war in Vietnam. Now, I know a lot of young people might not be familiar with that war, but the American people were lied to about what South Vietnam was doing and so forth and so on. And we went into that war. In that war, 58,000 young Americans died and over 300,000 were wounded. The Vietnam War devastated my entire generation. It will never leave my mind, because those were my friends, people my age who went off to Vietnam. My wife had a couple of good friends, went off to Vietnam, never came back. And for those who came back, it's not just 300,000 who were wounded. Many of those came back wounded in spirit, in mind. They were devastated by what they saw. They came home to a country that was divided because many people opposed that war. And that war not only caused so many American casualties, it killed millions of Vietnamese, and it brought instability to that entire region. And the result of that is a crazy group of people called the Khmer Rouge rose to power in Cambodia and waged a genocide in Cambodia, which killed over 2 million Cambodians. The cost of the war to the American taxpayer was many, many hundreds of billions of dollars. In other words, a lie caused massive, horrible death and suffering. That was what my generation went through in the 60s. And then years later, in 2002, I was a second-term member of Congress from Vermont, just elected to the Congress. And we heard the rhetoric in 2002 get stronger and stronger about the need to go to war against Iraq and its leader, Saddam Hussein. We were told by all kinds of people in the establishment and much of the media that Iraq was building weapons of mass destruction, and that if we did not act quickly and decisively, nuclear weapons would be dropping on America. And I want you to hear this, because this tells you a lot about what's going on today. Among those back in 2002 who told us that we had to go to war in Iraq was none other than Benjamin Netanyahu, the Prime Minister of Israel. And this is what, and I quote, this is what Netanyahu stated in a congressional hearing, and I quote, "There is no question whatsoever that Saddam is seeking nuclear weapons. If you take out Saddam's regime, I guarantee you that it will have enormous positive reverberations," end quote. Netanyahu. Now, President George W. Bush at the time, he said, quote, "Saddam's regime is seeking a nuclear bomb," end quote. And he argued for a preemptive attack, saying, quote, "We cannot wait for the final proof, the smoking gun, which could come in the form of a mushroom cloud," end quote. The United States Congress, against my vote, went to war in Iraq. And we became involved in a terrible regional civil war there. No weapons of mass destruction were ever found. That war was based on a lie which cost us 4,500 young Americans, 32,000 wounded, and trillions of dollars. I will never forget going to funeral after funeral in my small state of Vermont for young men who died in that war. As a result of the war, the entire region was destabilized. Hundreds of thousands of Iraqis also died in that war. A few months ago, in terms of what's going on right now, Trump's own director of national intelligence told Congress, this is his national director of intelligence, said, quote, the intelligence community continues to assess that Iran is not building a nuclear weapon, and Supreme Leader Khamenei has not authorized the nuclear weapons program he suspended in 2003, end quote. The Netanyahu government of Israel started this war with an unprovoked attack against Iran. This is the same government that is currently starving and shooting down innocent people in Gaza. Brothers and sisters, we cannot allow history to repeat itself. The United States faces enormous problems here at home. We should be spending our money and our manpower rebuilding America, not going into a war against Iran. am not gonna tell you that the fight against the oligarchs and the war makers is going to be easy. It is not going to be easy. They have enormous wealth. They have enormous power. They control much of the media. But this is what I do know. The American people do not want a government of billionaires. They want health care as a human right. They don't want tax breaks for oligarchs. They want the rich to start paying their fair share of taxes. They don't want a war with Iran. They want to invest in our own people. Now, Trump and other demagogues gain power by dividing us up. By dividing us up by the color of our skin or where we were born or what our religion might be. Brothers and sisters, let us not allow them to divide us up. Let us stand together. Let's take them on. Let's transform this country. Thank you all very much.